I'm sorry? Yeah? No kidding. Do they come in or do they sit wherever they are? Okay. All right. Right on time. Now the question is, I don't know if this drum, because with Mapati he's been tuning up the drums. This is not one of them. The other one, which is in the lounge, with the yellow cover, orange. What to do? All right, let's see where we are here. Getting there. Prema, where's your buddy? Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Really? Is he like?
Well, we lost our dog last week. We passed away.
Oh. So that's been traumatic.
That's been traumatic on top of been doing bad.
No, I don't see Mohini so much. Is she in town? Not really. Okay. She has a job and she has a visa. That's the main thing. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtotar Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 25th day of August, 2026, in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 5, Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. Text number 17. Right? 17 on page 245. Tad buddhayas tadatmanas tannishtas tatparayanaha gachanti apanar avrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha tad buddhayas tadatmanas tannishtas tatparayanaha gachancha punaravrittim jnana-nirdhuta kalmashaha tad-buddhayas tad-atmanas tannishtas tatparayanaha gachancha punaravrittim jnana-nirdhuta kalmashaha tad-buddhayas tad-atmanas tannishtas tatparayanaha gachancha punaravrittim jnana-nirdhuta kalmashaha. Okay, before I ask you to chant, let's review the second word combination in the second line. Apunaravrittim. No, apuna. Apuna. Yeah, there's just apuna. Apunaravrittim. Can you say it? That's it. Okay. All right, now try it. The whole verse. Tad buddhayas tad atmanam tannishtas tad parayanaha gachancha punaravrittim jnana-nirdhuta kalmashaha. Tapas. Tad buddhayas tad atmanas tannishtas tatparayanaha gachanti punaravrittim jnana-nirdhuta kalmashaha. Luis? Tad buddhayas tad atmanas tannishtas tatparayanaha gachanti punaravrittim jnana-nirdhuta kalmashaha. You want to try it at the end there? You can try. Tad buddhayastad-atmanas. Tannishtastad-parayanaha. Gacchantya-punaravrittim. Gana-nidutta-kalmashaha. You want to try at the end there? Tad-buddhayastad-atmanas. Tannishtastad-parayanaha. Gacchantya-punaravrittim. Gana-nidutta-kalmashaha. Go ahead. Tad-buddhayastad-atmanas. Tannishtastad-parayanaha. Gacchantya-punaravrittim. Jnana-nidutta-kalmashaha. Chaitanya Leela.
Hare Krishna.
Vanamali's there.
Yeah, she can go first.
Vanamali Priya.
Tad-buddhayastad-atmanas.
Tad-buddhayastad-atmanas.
Tannishtastad-parayanaha.
Tannishtastad-parayanaha. Chaitanya Leela. No, Chaitanya Leela, you have to shut your mic off.
It's on.
Yeah, there's a delay. It doesn't work.
Gacchantya-punavrittim.
Gacchantya-punaravrittim.
Jnana-nidutta-kalmashaha.
Jnana-nidutta-kalmashaha. All right, you're on, Chaitanya.
Sorry about that. Tad buddhayastad-atmanas.
Tad-buddhayastad-atmanas.
Tannishtastad-parayanaha.
Tannishtastad-parayanaha.
Gacchantya-punaravrittim.
Gacchantya-punaravrittim.
Jnana-nidutta-kalmashaha.
Jnana-nidutta-kalmashaha. Okay. Word by word. Tat buddhayaha. Those whose intelligence is always in the Supreme. Tat atmanaha. Those whose minds are always in the Supreme. Tat nishtaha. Those whose faith is only meant for the Supreme. Tat parayanaha. Those who have completely taken shelter of him. Gachanti, go, apunach avritim, to liberation. Jnana, by knowledge, nirdhuta, cleansed, kalmashaha, misgivings. Translation. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. Purport. The supreme transcendental truth is Lord Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita centers around the declaration that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the version of all Vedic literature. Paratattva means the Supreme Reality, who is understood by the knowers of the Supreme as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the last word in the Absolute. There is nothing more than that. The Lord says, Mattak padatanang nanyat kinchadasti dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman, which means there is nothing superior to me, O Dhananjaya. Impersonal Brahman is also supported by Krishna. Brahmanohi patishtaham. Therefore, in all ways, Krishna is the Supreme Reality. One whose mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge are always in Krishna, or in other words, one who is fully in Krishna consciousness, is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge of everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna-conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is duality, simultaneous identity and individuality in Krishna. And, equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. Well, he's describing now someone in full Krishna consciousness. Intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme. So it's hard to visualize how you could have your intelligence, mind, and faith fixed in the Supreme, but not your refuge. In other words, if you're doing that, if you're able to fix your intelligence, means that your understanding, your inquisitiveness, your doubts, doubts have been destroyed, and that's the faith part. And especially the refuge. Refuge. This is an important part because in material life, in conditioned life, we tend to have the illusion that we can kind of make our own way in the world. That it can be difficult, but that's the way I'm going to need to do it. Everyone's got to kind of make his own way. But Krishna consciousness means that you're actually looking to Krishna at every moment for inspiration, for strength, for safety, for fearlessness, and that's where the refuge comes in. You've taken refuge in the Lord and in the Lord's service, of course. I'm reminded of a verse in the 12th canto. There's a nice ashtaka it happens to be 8 verses, and one of the different astakas got kind of discovered in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this one is all about the glories of hearing and chanting. It begins with the word Sankirtan. Sankirtamano Bhagavandananta Shrutana Bhava Vasanani Pungsam. But the last verse, after describe and actually reprising or repeating several verses from the first canto that are very important. So I won't get into detail on that, but the last verse describes the benefits, the inconceivable, wonderful benefits of always remembering Krishna. The word is avismriti. Avismriti. Now, vismriti means to forget. Avismriti means no forgetting. You see, so it's one thing to remember Krishna, but intermittently. This is what sadhana is all about. You're thinking of Krishna, you're looking into deity, you're chanting Hare Krishna, you're absorbed. But all kinds of things can make you distracted and you can get deviated. And then you have to come back. So this is the state at which there's no forgetfulness. You've got to the point of constant remembrance. It's equivalent to samadhi, full samadhi for the yogis, So what's the benefits? He started Vismriti Krishna Padada Vindayo, constant remembrance of Krishna's lotus feet. Vismriti Krishna Padada Vindayo, Chinotya Buddhani Chashang Tanoti. So these the first 2 benefits. Chinoti Abudhani, everything inauspicious in your life is destroyed. Chinotya and Shashang Tanoti. Sham is a word that's used in the name Shambhu. It's a name for Shiva. He who brings about good fortune, and So that's what the Sham is. Shang Tanoti. So everything inauspicious in your life is destroyed by this constant remembrance, and all good fortune and everything is brought in. Krishna bestows it. So it's very enlivening. Chinotya Chishang Tanoti Sattvasya Shuddhim. Sattvasya here means your very being. Shuddhim is purified. Your heart is purified. Your consciousness is purified. Panamatma Bhaktim. Devotion to the Supreme Soul, Krishna, is nourished by this constant remembrance. Paramatma Bhaktim. And Jnanam to Vijnana Viraga Yuktam. And you achieve more and more knowledge and realize knowledge. Jnana and Vijnana means that you learn so many details about the world, yourself, the relation with Krishna. You're learning that, but you're also getting realized knowledge. Krishna is revealing himself to you in so many different ways, in moment to moment. Jnana, that's Vijnana, Jnana, Vijnana. And Viraga Yuktam, accompanied by detachment. This is another benefit. All from constant remembrance of Krishna, which is what Krishna consciousness means, ultimately. It's to always remember me, never forget me. If you recall, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, there's 2 verses that kind of summarize the whole essence of the instruction. Manmana Bhavaman Bhakto. Madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mama vaishasi satyam te patijani priyosime. Always think of me, become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and sacrifice to me and worship me. I promise you that thus you will come to me. I promise you this because you're my very dear friend. He's speaking to Arjuna, you see. So there's a similar verse at the end of the 9th chapter, but it doesn't have that intimate relation. Krishna doesn't, he says the same thing in the first 2 lines. He says, but thus linked to me in yoga, you will certainly come to me. But here he doesn't even mention yoga. He's just talking to Krishna as his best friend. You just do these things, and you'll certainly come to me. So that's so here we find a similar thing. That one's linking his intelligence, his atmana, which can mean different things. Minds, atmana here means mind, intelligence, and one's faith, nishta. Nishta is a very important platform of devotional service to come to. We find that in the wonderful verses of Rupa Goswami describing the progression from faith to love, Shraddha to Prema. Adhau Shraddha, tatak sadhu sangha, tabhajana kriya, tato anarta nivritti sat, tato nishta ruchistata, tata bhava, tata prema, tata bheva yujanchati sadhakanam sadham prabhavi bhave krima. These are the step-by-step progression of someone who's serious about following the Bhakti Marga, the path of devotional service. So it's worth reviewing these. They're quoted in a purport. I forget which exactly one. So first comes faith. There has to be some faith. Now Prabhupada makes it clear when he explains these verses, or I think maybe even in the purport, that this is not the deep faith that is defined by Lord Chaitanya in his teachings of Sanatana Goswami. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohi Sudridan Destroy Krishna Bhakti Korli Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. This is worth knowing this verse because faith is an essential element in bhakti. So Shraddha Shabde. This in Bengali, this word Shabde is used as kind of idiomatic to mean is defined as, is heard about. Vishwas Kohi. That's the firm, unbreakable determination and conclusion. Okay. Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohi Sudridha Nishchoy means the unbreakable determination and conclusion. That what? Then the question is, Krishna Bhakti Korli Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. That just by performing the activities and the duties of Bhakti Yoga, all my aspirations will be fulfilled. My life will become perfect. That is real ultimate faith. But this faith that he's describing in this Nishta, which is in this verse, Tan Nishtas, is not that kind of faith, certainly at the beginning. Adhau Shraddha means there's some preliminary interest, some preliminary respect, Prabhupada calls it, enough to do what? Adhau Shraddha sadhu sangha, to bring you into the association of devotees. Just like somehow you all felt that you would get something out of this, to come here. You'll hear the Bhagavad Gita, you'll hear from me, whatever, and that'll be benefited. So that's the first essential faith, that to bring you into the association. So Adhau Shraddha tatak sadhu sangha. Now in that association, if you hang out with the devotees for a while, someone will try to give you some beads. We have this program, so that's the next thing. Bhajana kriya. The first bhajana is chanting, both in congregation and so forth, and this other thing. So Adhau Shraddha tatak sadhu sangha bhajana kriya. Now if you take to regular bhajana kriya, which is just think of the morning program, what's happening there is that you're becoming free of anartas. Your heart is becoming cleared of desires to perform sinful activities, of all kinds of impurities and things that are blocking your devotional service. So Krishna is clearing your heart of that. Chaito Darpana Marjanam. That's also in the Shikshastika, that purification. So that's the next thing. Bhajana Kriya, Tato Anarta Nivritti. Now this Anarta Nivritti, that can take as long as we want, depending on our sincerity and our determination to follow strictly and persevere. Then that'll be either a quicker purification period, or it may take a long time. But assuming that you're doing it seriously, then the next stage is this nishta. And nishta is that faith that I mentioned before. This firm, unbreakable determination because of what you've already experienced and your continued association with devotees. And especially with the realized soul. Now, we have this great opportunity. Did you get your bag? You got your, Dr. Connie? You got your blue bag back? Didn't you leave a blue bag the other day you came here? Yeah, well, that's Mukunda. All right. Oh, could you sit on this side? Well, actually, we already have a co-ed thing going, so you just sit right there. You're going to take your seat again? Okay. So where were we? So we're following, and the anartha nivriti is important. Okay, looks like Joseph is. Dr. Connie? The ladies' side. We reserved the whole bench for you there. Yeah, that's your spot. There you go. I'm going to make sure that you take about 2 bags when you leave.
Ram's fault I'm late, so you can blame him.
Who?
Ramapati, it's his fault I'm late.
Oh, he's distracted you. Okay.
I helped him with a medical problem.
Okay. All right. So where were we? So following up this, so we come to the point of nishta in this progression. That nishta is equivalent to the shraddha that I described, Lord Chaitanya described. Is that it means firm determination. Your faith. No one can convince you that Krishna isn't God and you're His eternal servant. You're fixed by that point. And that's accompanied by, the more you have this nishta, the more you get ruchi. Everything is tasty. It has a natural taste. The holy name, Madhura Madhuranametam, the acharyas have written how it's the sweetest of the sweet. It's so enlivening. It's, the Sanatana Goswami. It has this incredible verse at the beginning of his Brihad Bhagavatamrita. He has a Mangalacharan, means it's a series of verses introducing the book. So one is just about, he's glorifying the name. Jayati Jayati Namananda Rupam Murare Vidamita Nijadharma Dhyana Pujari Yatnam Katamapi Sakradatam Muktidam Praninam Yat Padamamamritam Ekam Jivanam Bhushanam Me. So, all glories to the holy name of Krishna, which is a holy name of Murari. It's another name for Krishna, the enemy of the Mura demon. Jai Namananda Rupam. Who can guess what the word Ananda Rupam means? Yeah, what is Rupa? Form. The very form of bliss. Bliss, personified and concretized. Anarupam. Vidamita Nija Dharma Jnana Pujariyatnam. It causes one to give up one's involvement in mundane duties and things like that. Nija Dharma Dhyana, meditation on the absolute, impersonal puja of demigods. All such efforts. In other words, if you really get into the holy name, all of that business will go. You won't be interested anymore. And then he says, if someone chants it even once, and the implication is purely, Katamavi Sakaratam Muktidam, one will be liberated. Muktidam Praninam Yat. Praninam is a living being. Then in the last line he says, Padamam Amritam Ekam is my soul and supreme nectar. Padamam Amritam Ekam, Jivanam, my very life. Bhushanam, and my only ornament, he's saying, of the holy name. So this is, it's worth reading these and seeing how the great acharyas really appreciated the holy name and they're experiencing it. And we can pray that we can begin to experience some of that also. All right, let me go back to the verse we're at. So the remembrance, because the value of the remembrance, remember that it gets rid of all inauspicious things, it gives you all good fortune, it increases your purification and bhakti. So all of those are coming from the remembrance, and he's describing that here. One's intelligence, one's mind, tadatmanas, and one's nishta, one's firm faith, tat parayana. Now parayana is almost synonymous with the nishta. It means full dedication. This wonderful phrase, Narayana Parayana, to be fully absorbed and dedicated to Narayan or Krishna. So this is Tat Parayana. Gachat Apanaravatim. One goes back to Godhead. Apanaravatim, without again being covered. Avrita means to be covered. Apuna means not again. You'll never be covered again. Never fall into Maya. Jnana nirdutta kalmasha. By this, all of this knowledge, this transcendental knowledge, you become completely cleansed of all impurities, misgivings, and doubts. So this is a very enlivening verse, chapter 5 here. So I didn't read the purport, did I? Did I read this translation? I think I did. Yeah, but I didn't I don't think I read the purport. Oh, we did.
Yeah, we did the Abhigana.
Okay. Okay. So when one's mind, intelligence, faith, and refuge, I'm nearly 2/3 into the purport, is always, or in other words, one who is fully Krishna conscious, in Krishna consciousness is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings and is in perfect knowledge of everything concerning transcendence. So now this is where faith comes in, because Prabhupada is making these conclusions and statements throughout his books, and so is Krishna. So to what degree can we take them seriously? And there's two elements to the faith. One is that this is a reality. Prabhupada is not just making stuff up. He's repeating things that are in the books, but he's also experiencing. This is the value. And then there also has to be faith that we can be empowered to do the things necessary experiences also. So both elements of the faith have to be there. And the one about ourselves is strengthened when we actually engage in the process. Chanting, and then you're actually feeling peaceful and blissful and like that. There's something there. It's substantial. And I said, well, if I'm getting these preliminary experiences, why can't the whole thing be true? And I can actually, if I try hard, reach the platform of purity and bliss and go back to Godhead. And I mean, for myself, I'm enlivened. I get encouraged by reading about how, okay, there's a progression. If you don't do it in this one life, you can pick up where you left off. That's the whole point. There's many verses like that. Prabhupada would always quote one from the 5th chapter, 1st canto. Narada Muni is speaking to Vyasadeva and encouraging him. You remember Vyasadeva was kind of depressed. He'd written all these books, including the Mahabharata and all these other Puranas and the Vedas and everything, but still he wasn't satisfied. And so his spiritual master, Narada Muni, comes to him, and he explains why. And the answer is, you haven't sufficiently glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, and really dealt with his all attractive pastimes. So, then in the course of that instruction, he has this verse, Chakva swadharmam chadanam bhajang harer bhajan napakpo tapate tato yadi yatra kvava bhadram abhura mushikim korvarta apto abhajatam swadharmataha. Which means this: if one gives up, let's apply it to like the modern day, because it's applicable at all times, all places. Chaktva swadharma. If one gives up his position in the varnashram, he's doing regular work as a shudra. He's got a job in a car repair shop or something, and he's doing that. And then along comes one of these book distributors from the Hare Krishnas, and he gets a book. He gets a book, Journey of Self-Discovery, or whatever it may be. And he's interested in that, and after work he goes and visits the temple or something, and he gets another book, he gets some association, he gets some prasadam, and he's making friends, and he's attracted. Okay, so at one point, this they say he could be a fairly experienced and successful car repairman, but he gives it up. So in that sense, he's giving up his swadharma. It's very suitable to his psychophysical nature, but he's giving it up, and he joins the Hare Krishnas. And he starts to get trained up, gets up early. He's doing what our friend here Luis is doing. A lot of pots, right? Chanting Hare Krishna. But along the way, you're doing a lot of pots. Okay. So someone gives up his work in this swadharma, his ordinary job, and takes up this process. Chakva swadharma, chadanam bhajang hare, that's worshiping the lotus feet of Hari. Bhajan. Apakva, but he doesn't complete the process. Now the word pakva, there's this word swapacha, dog eater. It's really, it starts with dog cooker. You assume they're going to cook the dogs and then eat it, right? So pacha means to cook. So that's what it means in this verse. Charanam and bhajan apakvo, but the bhajan is not fully cooked. In other words, not complete. He doesn't complete the course. Bhajan apakvo tapatitato, and he falls away. He bloops, as we say, and we don't see him again. You know, maybe we see him at Janmashtami or once in a while. You know, but he's kind of given up his strict following. Okay. So, yatra kavabhadram, for such a soul, where is there anything inauspicious? Whereas someone who very carefully follows his swadharma, if he just kept his job as a car repairman, kovarta apto abhajatam swadharmataha. For one who follows his psychophysical position in varnashram dharma very nicely, but he doesn't have any bhajan. He's connected to Krishna. He's completely absorbed in material things. Where is there any gain? You see? So this is again emphasizing the idea that Krishna consciousness is the most hopeful process, because we should know that even if we just do a little bit, that's in our eternal bank account. We should try to advance as much as possible and try to perfect our lives. But it's not easy, especially in this environment, in this world we live on, you know. Every human being is enjoined to make the effort to take up Krishna consciousness and advance. You see, so here Krishna is saying this is the goal. This is a purity. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings to complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. So free of misgivings means your faith is completely strong. That's the nishtha, which is the word used here, or the faith that's described by Lord Chaitanya. So acquiring that faith is an important intermediary goal. Because on the ladder from Shraddha to Prema, this faith, or this nishtha, strong, unbreakable faith, is in the middle. You know, after association with devotees, practicing bhajan, and part of it is taking initiation. Rupa Goswami, what does he say the very first step is in the ladder? Adha Guruvashriya, to take shelter of a guru. So that's an important step, to find someone who is embodying the principles that we see here, is teaching them and reflecting them, and is completely in tune with Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita. And then we're on our way. And we should take a broad perspective. Okay, I spent a lot of time not doing this, and now I'm doing it. I'm going to try my best. But if I fail, then I'm confident that I'll be able to take it up in my next life. We should, the Bhagavad Gita starts with that idea, these very strong words in the second chapter, that no one dies. That for the living entity, there is never birth nor death at any time. There's not a lot of living entities coming into being and going out of being. No. We're all here, they don't come into being now. Nobody's being created. Creation doesn't apply to the living entity. We're as eternal as Krishna. He says, Aja, Nitya, Shashvato, Yang Purana. Every one of those adjectives, which he's talking about the soul, it can be applied to Krishna. He's also Aja, Nitya, Shashvata, Purana. He's eternal, he's the oldest, he's the original. So, believing that, and understanding that we have a long future ahead of us, then we should try our best to remember Krishna all the time and progress in our purification. And if we're not completely pure at the end, okay, we'll take birth in, as it's mentioned in the 6th chapter, in a devotee family or in a situation where we'll take up Krishna consciousness again. Hare Krishna. So, but here Krishna is giving, here's where you want to apply, try to achieve. Gacchant apunaravritim, to the point where you're not going to be covered again. No more coverings. Apunaravritim, jnana nirduta kalmasha, because by your knowledge, by your realized knowledge, you cleansed away all of the impurities that we get in the material world. So it's really a question of purification. In other words, we already are pure living entities, with love for Krishna, but that love has been misdirected to this world. We've forgotten it. So what does it say? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kabunoi Shabanadi Shuddha Chitte Kodayayudoi. This is a verse I think spoken by Lord Chaitanya. The eternal perfection of love for God, Krishna Prema, is not something that has to be brought in from outside. It's not a sadhya, It's already intrinsic to the soul. But we just have to uncover it and experience it. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem, Sadhya Kabunoi. How do we uncover it? Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte. By the process of hearing, etc. So the first etc. is chanting. Hearing and chanting. Hearing and chanting. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. Then the remembrance of Krishna becomes deeper and more constant. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte, the consciousness is more and more purified. Kodayayudoi. It naturally awakens because it's already there. We already have love of Krishna buried in our heart, but we don't realize it because we've been estranged by our conditioning. We're conditioned souls of this external world. So Krishna consciousness means to consciously, follow a certain program of what we hear, what we see, what we do, what we aspire for, and what we don't do, etc. So for the aim of uncovering this dormant love for God, which is the ultimate goal of life. That's there. I'll give you one more verse. This is a long one, but it's a very important verse. The 10 basic principles of devotional service as taught by Lord Chaitanya. Amnayak prahatatvam hadamiha padamam sarvashaktim risabdim tad binang shang chijivan prakatika balitan tad vimuktang chabhavat beda beda prakasham sakalam abhihare sadhanam shuddha bhaktim Sadhyam tad pritameve tubadishijanan goda chandra bhajetam. I worship Lord Chaitanya who taught these 10 principles of bhakti. The first thing is, what is our evidence? What is our guide for how to act and what to understand, how to understand? They're called Amnaya. Amnaya is real scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, as explained by realized souls. So there's so many Bhagavad Gitas, but they're often written by people who don't even know anything about bhakti. It's just part of the curriculum in some, religious studies course. But really, the Bhagavad Gita is meant to be a guide for how to lead our life. And Krishna is giving us all this instruction, and Srila Prabhupada is explaining it, and he's realized soul. So Amnayak Prahatattvam speaks the truth. Prahatattvam. And what's the basic truth? Hadamiha Padamam. Hari, Krishna, is the supreme. He's everything, the definition of God. He's the source of everything. He's everywhere. He knows everything. The definition given by the Western theologians is pretty good. Omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. And I heard another one go together. Omnibeneficent. Did you ever hear that word? All good and all loving. That's important. That's Krishna. So, Hadamiya Padama, that's Hari, Krishna. Now why Hari? Hari means he who takes away. He takes away all your impurities, leaving just pure loving soul. He's taking away your doubt. He's taking away your fear. All of these things, this is Hari. And so, Hadamiya Padamam, Sarva Shaktim. He's full of all energies. This is Parasya Shaktim Vivadhaya Vishuyate. He gives a nice summary right here in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhumar apo onaro vayo kangmano buddhadevaja ahankaritiyam binna prakatadashtada. Prakriti said, these are my external energies, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These are material. There's not conscious energies. But that's not everything. Besides these external energies, there is the superior energy of mind, the conscious energy, which are the living entities in this world, who are sustaining it all. It's only here because we're inside. Each of our bodies, think of it as a little universe, and we're inside, trying to be the master. But actually the real master is Krishna, he's the super soul in there. So if we become wise, then we try to mold our activities in accordance with his desires. So, let's go on. So Amnayak Hadamiya Padamam Sarva Shaktim Risabdim. So he's full of all Shaktis, but also rasa. He has an infinite number of ways relating to his loving devotees, you see. And within about 10, 15 categories, 5 main rasas like that, you know. So Risabdim. He's a person, in other words. He's not just a force. He's a full person. And form, qualities, pastimes, everything. Now, who are we? Tad binangshangsa jivan. The jivas are his angsha. We're separated from him, you see. Tad binna. Binna means separated. Tad binangshangsa jivan. Prakritika valitan. It's in this material world, we've been swallowed up by the external prakriti, by the material energy. In other words, we're influenced heavily by the material energy. Prakritika valitan. But tad vimuktang sabhavat. We can also be liberated. We can become free of that. And then this famous Beda Prakasham, everything in existence is simultaneously one with and different from Krishna. You know, even we ourselves, we're one with Krishna, but we also have our own separate identities. That it's inconceivable. Therefore, it's called Achincha, Beda, Abeda Tattva. Simultaneously separate from Beda and one with God, you see. So this is part of Lord Chaitanya's teaching. Beda Prakasham Sakalam Abhihade. Everything that we see, and ourselves also, are simultaneously one with and different from Krishna. Beda Sakalam Abhihade Sadhanam. All right, so that's all the, you know, sadhya. That's the, or rather, that's these points. But what is the process by which you can realize this? Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotion to Krishna. Sadhanam Shuddha Bhakti. And what's the sadhya? What's the goal of the whole thing? Sajam tad priti mevit. Priti means love. Is pure love for this Supreme Person. Priti Upadishadi Janan Gaurachanda Bhajetam. This is what Lord Gaurachandra, Lord Chaitanya taught. And I don't know anything else. This is what the verse, I don't know who, I think Bhaktivinoda Thakur may have written this verse. So it's good to know these things, and all of this fits in with this. You know, if we can fix our intelligence and mind, faith, and refuge on the Supreme, on Krishna. Now it's interesting. He says the Supreme. Why didn't he just say me? You know, he goes into back third person, but sometimes for me, manmana bhavamandakto. But here he's speaking as the Guru, you know, not as the Supreme Personality of God. So he goes into this third person thing in the Supreme Lord. Okay. Okay, any questions on these points, these verses? We're getting to one of my favorite all-time verses. I don't think we'll make it tonight. It's number 22, but early, maybe tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, let's go on. Text 18. Oh, this is a well-known verse, often quoted. The vision of a pandit, a real pandit, a really learned soul, spiritually learned. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gabihastini shuni chaiva swapakecha pandita samadarshinaha. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater or outcast. Purport. A Krishna-conscious person does not make any distinction between species or castes. The Brahman and the outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog, a cow, and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species, but these differences of body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme, for the Supreme Lord, by his plenary portion as Paramatma, is present in everyone's heart. Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. As far as the bodies are concerned, in different castes or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind to everyone, because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma, regardless of the circumstances of the living entities. The Lord as Paramatma is present both in the outcast and in the Brahman, although the body of a Brahman and that of an outcast are not the same. The bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and the supersoul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. The similarity in the quality of the soul and the supersoul, however, does not make them equal in quantity.
For the individual soul is present only in that particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present in each and every body. A Krishna conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he is truly learned and has equal vision. The similar characteristics of the soul and supersoul are that they are both conscious, eternal, and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the supersoul is conscious of all bodies. The supersoul is present in all bodies without distinction. Now, the similar characteristics is that the conscious, eternal, and blissful. Well, I can honestly say that I'm not blissful all the time at every moment. That may be my constitutional position, but in the conditioned state, there's sukha and there's dukkha. That was another verse I wanted to share with you, real quick. This is a prayer by Prahlad, which I memorized years ago, and it says it all. Yasmat priya priyaviyoga sayoga janma shokagnina sakalayona shodayamana dukkaushadam tadapi dukkamatadhyaham bhuman vamame vadame tavadasya yogam. This can actually be the little anthem for teaching the Bhagavad Gita, because the last line says, "Therefore, my dear Lord, please teach me dasya yoga or bhakti yoga." So what he's saying is there, yasmat priya apriya viyoga se yoga. So this first part of the line is the source of the shokagnina, the fire of lamentation. And not just in human life, but in every life. So what is he saying there? Yasmat priya apriya viyoga se yoga. So what is priya? What is things that are dear to us? Our own body, our health, our family, so many things are dear, right? And when they're taken away from us, this is a source of great lamentation. Prabhupada gives the example of someone, works very hard to make a lot of money, and then he's lost, and is just full of lamentation. Much worse than if he never made the money. So this is things that are dear to us, and there's always one to the. So that's one source of lamentation. And the other thing is that things that are abhorrent to us are forced upon us. Like this heat. We're very fortunate because we're close to the ocean. It's not, upper 80s is not that bad. I read that it was 117 degrees plus in Phoenix for like 7 or 8 days in a row. Now that's suffering. That's something that, so therefore we have air conditioners, right? Okay, and stay in my house, air conditioners. So that's the whole idea, is that we try to negate these things. But it's a source of unhappiness in this world when things that are dear to you are taken away, or things that are abominable are forced upon you. No one can deny that. So he says, Shokagnina sakala yonushu dayamana. So this fire of lamentation, that shoka agnina, sakala yonushu means in all kinds of species. It's not just human beings. You think about it, any species of life, there's dangers of, yeah, I know. So sakala yonushu dayamana. So I've been burning, in my life in the material world, through different species, burning in the fire of lamentation caused by these two things. Now, we have ways of kind of counteracting it, called dukkaushadam. So think of it as in human beings now. So we have remedies, right, for this dukkha, how we can, like the air conditioning. So, but then he said, dukkha aushadam tadapi dukkam. Those remedies themselves bring more, misery. And for this, I always think of global warming. Global warming is finished. You know that? It's no more global warming. Global heating. Forget about this warming. Global overheating. Anyway, so dukkha aushadam. So the remedies we have for the dukkha often bring more dukkha, isn't it? Think of the internal combustion engine. Oh, we got to get from point A to B much faster. Oh, yeah, now we're cooking, But then you have all, millions and billions of cars blowing up all this, greenhouse gases. And you got worse dukkha than we have. So that's what material life is. Dukkha tadapi dukkha matadhyaham. And all, yes, but we're running out of time, so let me just finish this verse. Atadhyaham, and then this is the essential, this is the source of the whole problem. Because I'm thinking I'm something I'm not. I'm thinking I'm this body. And this is the source of all of that. So what's the solution? Last line of the verse. He's speaking to the Nrsingadev, he's a little Prahlad. He said, Bhuman brahmame vadameta vadasya yogam. Oh great one, oh great Lord, therefore teach me your dasya yoga, your bhakti yoga, you see. And that's why it would be a great verse to chant at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, because this is Krishna. He's teaching us, with wonderful commentary by his pure devotee. All right, any final comment or question? You had something, but it will impinge. Yes?
Where can I find this verse, Prabhu? The verse you say, Dashta Yogam, this verse.
Oh, the 10? You can find it from me. Just remind me, I'll send it to you. I have everything in my computer. All right, 1 or 2 poems before ending. It's like we always end with a poem. Okay, something upbeat, because this is kind of pretty bracing. Okay, so this is a poem I wrote years ago, inspired by, and it's perfect, because it's Julian Yatra now, this is Julian Yatra time. And every morning we get to, swing Radha Krishna, little Radha Krishna deities. But it's there because there's a pastime like that. Krishna does that with Radharani in the spiritual world. So there's a painting of that. You may not visualize, but I kind of describe it. Okay. Okay. We're cooling breezes. No, it's got to be clear. Yamuna flows and so on. We're saying okay. Okay, where fragrant flowers spread their sweet perfumes, where clear Yamuna flows and songbirds sing, where all the land the lovely light illumes, Shri Radha and Shri Krishna gently swing. This pastime of their love in Braja's bowers forever thrills their dearest devotees, whose heart Shri Krishna's sweetness overpowers, obscuring his prodigious potencies. Whatever in this world we know as love is just a shadow of the love they feel. The wise aspire to learn the secrets of devotion's path and taste that love supreme. Or taste that love ideal. I'm sorry, I kind of messed it up. So that's you may not, you have to write me an email, and I'll send you all my poems in the form of a PDF, including this one. And where do you write? Dravida108@gmail. Okay. I think it's time to end. Let's get ready for Kirtan. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Hari Bol. Okay. All right, I think we're going to begin with 18 because I really didn't cover it very well. We'll zoom in at 18 on tomorrow. Such a well-known verse. Kind of went far afield. Okay. Hari Bol Prabhu. So you know where this one goes?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the first one. You should keep it in law. I'll keep it.
Okay, special. All right. Uh-oh. 8:13. No time to waste. Oh, yes. You can open those curtains. Shri Shri Gauranga Ki Jai. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu Nityananda Gaura Hari Krishna Gopal Krishna Sundar Bhavanadar.
Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Preshaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Iti Namine. All right, someone's got to know that song. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharine, Niviteta Sunyavari, Asyatari Shatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitya Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitya Gaura Haribo. Nitya Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitya Gaura Haribo. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajikacharya Ashtotota Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajikacharya Ashtotota Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai.
Prem Shukho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shyam Kund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Ganga Mahi Ki Jai. Yamuna Mahi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Singhaya. Palada Larandayine. Hiranya Kashipo Vakshaha. Shilatanka Nakaraye. Hito Nisringa Parato Nisingo. Yato Yato Yamitato Nisringa. Bari Nisringo Ridaye Nisingo. Sing Amading Sharanang Drapadye. Tapakara Kamalavare Nakam Adbhuta Shringa Talita Hiranyakashipu Tanum Bringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Bhavakara Kamalavare Adbhuta Shringa Ita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadrita Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Now the Pujari brought out this tray full of flowers that the deities have worn today. So be free to take whatever you want, and there's no cost.
Any more sheets? You got over there. One here and then this one right there.
You just want to get that sheet. Hare Krishna. How did it go today with the rounds?
Oh, we're we're done getting this meat counter.
Yeah.
So we only have 7 more rounds. So I gotta clean the kitchen.
In addition to finish around.
Yes. 13, 14, 10. And I'm moving on time to walk hard. And then we have evening.
All right.
Yeah,
It's not the third one.
yes.
Otherwise, you see what happens.
Yeah, you know what? And also today, I made a done with the nap. I took a nap.
Anyway, it's important.
Oh, thank you.
I will. I'm gonna.
Were you in Kirtan now?
You're early enough.
Oh, this year? Oh, yeah, because I led Kirtan in there too. Oh. Yeah, before this. Thank you.
So, Dr. Connie? You got it.
Did you say I left a blue bag somewhere? I don't know.
You know,
No, I don't know where it
Apple
is.
purple.
Did you say
I
something?
gave it to Sunda.
Well, I'll be here tomorrow and Thursday. So.
Oh, you will?
Yeah.
For the holiday?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Avik does flowers tomorrow, so I'll make all the flowers. We got chatting. He may or may not know he's a PhD physicist who works at Salk Institute on HIV drug resistance. Avik, yeah, the guy who does flowers. Yeah, he is a PhD physicist. He got his PhD at University of Pennsylvania, was at UCSD on faculty for a couple of years, and then he's been at Salk. See, we all have these hidden other lives. We come here and we're just so humble and.
I'm just a hard.
Well, see, somebody has to do the outside work
I
too.
understand.
Some of us cross.
But I'm impressed.
In spite of